Hi guys, the 8 most common relationship mistakes that we all make. It takes practice to emotionally develop ourselves. Our emotions, left to their own devices, usually run to a different script.
Should we really surrender to our emotions and follow our emotions as many believe?
Perhaps not in long-term relationships, because emotions are temporal by nature. They come and they go. They're useful when starting a race, a new relationship, a new job or business, when finding a purpose or even in education.
But down the line, emotions fade, change, and move on, and can cause us to find problems where none exist.
It's through knowledge that we gain understanding, and applying understanding to a given situation is what wisdom is. So without further ado, counting down in no particular order, 8 mistakes most people make in relationships.
Many relationships end in divorce these days, not because of the lack of love in their mind. We know we love them, but simply because of the lack of love in the heart. It takes practice before the word. What you understand to be true becomes flesh, becomes second nature. Don't give up on a good person because of your emotions only. What you need to do is to mentally understand, to resuscitate that old passion. That's first love.
Number 1, focusing on what's wrong about an idea rather than suggesting ways to improve it. It usually sounds like a critical thinking wise person, but what's really negative about this condition is that it doesn't come up with any ideas, but it's ready to shoot down other people's.
Your partner, colleague, friend, or child might not have a perfect idea, but that's why you are two. One person births the original idea, another person develops it. Please don't sound so negative when you aren't the one leading in the creative stage. No one gets a reward for doing nothing.
Remember to encourage your partner for taking the initiative, for suggesting a day, for launching out, for getting going, and then spend some time thinking about a way to develop the idea before expressing your views about its weaknesses.
It encourages a positive atmosphere and causes your husband or your wife, your business partner or your child to stay emotionally connected to you. Remember, no one actually cares about how much you know. You are the only one who cares about that.
But everyone cares about how much you care. As social beings, we tend to prioritize connecting emotionally
over admiration of knowledge.
Who is right versus what is right? A soft answer turns away wrath. Proverbs chapter 15 verse 1. Everyone is right in their own eyes. Would you rather waste precious hours in flaming tensions and whipping up resentments against you, winning the battle of right and wrong, or would you rather spend time in a non-argumentative, friendly atmosphere and get stuff done? Improve your relationship? Now, it's far more productive to enjoy relaxed company. It's team building compared to wearing yourselves down in arguments. Resentment lingers in the heart long after the memory of who is right or wrong fades. Now, one can't even remember why one grows cold. The argument is often forgotten, but the resentment and hurt continues. Learn to forgive and move on. It makes life easy, and be ready to concede ground to each other.
A side note now regarding marriages. There are 2 things that make a marriage. If both of these points are lacking, you are as good as divorced. First is sex, and second is romance. Marriage certificates are modern phenomena. In Sweden, for example, cohabitation is as effective as marriage in family law. Genesis 2:24 says, "A man will leave his father's and mother's house and cling to his wife," which means to have sex with her, "and the two shall become one flesh." Flesh means 3 things: emotions, instincts, and desires, aka the heart. Love builds up, knowledge puffs up in pride, and pride comes before a fall. He that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. A woman has to be ready to be a wife from day one. It does help a great deal to desire a relationship, to want to give and to want to receive before undertaking one.
Number 3, taking things personal, being easily offended. Life is personal to you, I understand, but avoid being overly sensitive in your relationships, or the other person won't feel free to express themselves because of the off chance that you will get offended. A general statement about a man or a woman, west or east, isn't necessarily an attack against you. When your partner walks on eggshells around you, they would soon seek freedom from friends, from family, or for other outsiders. And some immature partners have sought freedom to communicate to strangers of the opposite sex. It's resulted in many indiscretions. Someone who doesn't really care about you can be more patient in listening like a serpent just to get something back from you. Let's show consideration to each other's weakness. Don't rub their nose in it. Be sensitive that your partner is short or big or small or not as graceful as some others. And definitely don't embarrass them in public. It takes time for people to get rid of their insecurities, so be patient and sensitive to avoid emotional resentment. The hard things and can stay hurt longer even after we have mentally decided to forgive. It's harder but possible to recover from a damaged or broken heart. So tread very carefully.
At number 4, safe space versus bottling up.
James chapter 5 verse 16 says, confess your faults to one another. Why is this important? But some of us find it easier to own up to our mistakes to a close friend than our actual spouse.
I understand this, but it is, and I hope you agree, a show of how strong your relationship is if you can both create a safe space where you can talk to each other about those dark thoughts your mind or heart ponders upon. Not passing thoughts, the mind is a blank canvas, and imaginations like birds can fly in without you entertaining them, in which case you dismiss them and all is good. But some thoughts emanate from within our emotions come seeds of resentment, unforgiveness, jealousy. We know them, and sometimes we even slander or attack our spouse verbally because of them. Well, it's deep-seated emotional anger. For feeling ignored, one comes up with a hurtful option: revenge.
Build a trustful environment where no one needs to ponder on their own about how inconsiderate the other spouse is. Misunderstandings are inevitable. They thrive like germs in relationship environments lacking of a safe space for communication.
Wouldn't it be nice if your wife gave you the opportunity to explain what you meant when you said something, and she can explain how hurt she felt, and you apologize and made up?
I know some men don't like talking, but most women need an outlet to unload, to vocalize their emotions. Sexes, after all, are generally wired differently. When communication is unsolvable, it leads to feeling hopeless, and then depression kicks in. Perhaps you need someone, a professional, to assist you in creating a safe space for dialogue. Learning to listen without thinking of what to say back is a skill we can all develop.
Number 5. Love means different things to different people. Some call it know your partner's love languages. The Bible says to dwell with your wife according to knowledge. To know someone is the only way of making them feel loved. Invest time into understanding your partner. Don't assume we are all the same just because you have experience from the past relationships. Doesn't make you an expert in your current partner. Watch them, pay attention to them, and approach your partner with humility as a child learns. And you soon have a valuable tool in your hand, the ability to make your partner happy. Sometimes it's validation, sometimes it's respect. It could even be hugs or just listening. Just be there to support each other with your individual love languages. Some men like to open the door, protect his woman, and display traditional attitudes of chivalry. Please do not take away that from him. It's the way he receives love. When you say thank you and acknowledge his loving masculinity. If you take that away, you are left with someone who resents you for not being ideal. If it's not harmful, please be flexible. Remember point 3, it's not personal. Don't get political in your relationship. Liberal, conservative, etc., etc. Life has enough problems. Seriously. Love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus said this in Matthew 22:39. Love is the only guide you need at home. Politics, philosophies, traditions, and even religious theology could just leave you divided, and society won't help you after it's destroyed your marriage with the arguments of life. If it works for you, build from there. It's private, between you and your man, between you and your wife. Hebrews 13:4 says the marriage bed is undefiled. God doesn't care what you guys get up to in your bedroom and what kind of roles you play, so long as it's a loving, consensual environment. Focus on consent, not pushing anyone. There isn't anything wrong with it. Preserve it.
No one likes a know-it-all, or someone who thinks their way is always the best way. We must learn to celebrate our differences. Even if you are stronger in an area, make room for your partner to grow. We shouldn't have unrealistic expectations in assuming everyone carries out a task in the same way you would. Be sensitive, we're all different. Don't make your spouse feel inferior. Unless, of course, it's couples banter, but make sure those jokes are consensually enjoyed. It's your responsibility to know what your partner finds funny or not. Nothing wrong in having a superior idea, but learn to communicate it in humility. Feelings of inferiority leads to resentment that leads to divorce down the road. Humility is one great wisdom that works in people-to-people interaction. 1 Corinthians chapter 8 verse 1. Knowledge puffs up with an attitude, but love builds. So humbly assist your partner in love and watch your relationship build up into a strong tower. Take on your partner's shortcomings like it's your own and get down to their level. This point of wisdom will literally make you feel superhuman in people's eyes. They will admire you and respect you. It's hard to be in love with someone you don't admire.
Number 7. You can't love your neighbor without first loving yourself. If you're miserable, you will serve miserable potatoes. You love your neighbor in equal measure to how you love yourself. Sometimes you need to take time out to clear your mind, light a candle in the bath or go for a walk, or just have a moment in the bathroom and give yourself time to unwind. But equally, don't love yourself more than you love others, as the New Age religion teaches. If a brother is hungry, Apostle John says, feed him. But as said, don't love others more than yourself. Don't turn anyone into a god. They would just disappoint you because in the end, all small letter gods fail. Love is owed to all, but respect is earned. If you want respect, give respect. But be ready to offer love even if you feel your partner doesn't deserve it. Besides, we all have different states of maturity. If you are more spiritually mature than your husband, then expect to offer a higher degree of love. Why? Because to whom much is given, much is required. Don't compare yourselves. Instead, give love based on your standard compared to the ultimate standard of love, God's royal law. Love your neighbor as yourself, which Galatians 5:14 says fulfills all law. Imagine, the entire law of the Bible is summarized in one law. Love your neighbor as yourself.
Trust is earned, respect is earned, but love is given. If your partner struggles with overspending, maybe you need to have a savings account that requires 2 signatures. No one is obliged to trust someone because you are in love. Of course, you must believe that they will and can get better. Hope, but you and your partner need to be mature in acknowledging you have a problem and seek ways to remedy it.
Initiate these conversations in love, not from a judgmental and pointing the finger place, but from a place of love.
But trust is a commitment you make now, and you both believe you will get stronger and better with time. So rape, physical abuse, mental abuse, these transgressions are extremely not worthy of trust, untrustworthy. You owe your partner love, not trust. Please seek outside professional help immediately. Your life and children's life can depend on it.
And if your partner has an addiction problem, you cannot trust them in that area until they're free from that addiction. But you love them through it, because love builds. Thanks for listening. We're Katarina and Abraham. Please remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next message. This is The Wisdom Room.